She wanna know me, I stay low.
Hi guys, so I decided to make this video because I realized that I completely forgot to mention the 90s shows that I did on my recent podcast video. And honestly, like I really enjoy these types of videos where you're eating and chatting, so I figured I would, do it on here. And so as you can see in the background, I'm eating some of my favorite snacks and foods that I ate when I was growing up in the 90s, and I haven't eaten these things in like a decade now, so it's going to be really interesting just to see how I still like them or not. So one of my favorite shows was Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was a Nickelodeon show. So that was back in like 1990s, or I wrote down like the years. I really enjoyed that show. I remember watching it and I'd get creeped out, and I remember watching it like at nighttime, and that was like my favorite time when I was like in the evenings. I can't remember what time that they passed or like what days. Like I have a really bad memory, so I can't really remember like a lot of details, but I just remember really enjoying that show. Actually, I just got one of the first things before I get into the snacks is these burritos. And actually, like I used to eat these specific, like literally these specific burritos. The bean and cheese ones were like my favorite. So I heated it up in the microwave because that's how I used to eat them when I was a kid. There's a lot of, I like how they're kind of soft. Bro. Memories. Here's a close-up. And I'm sorry, but like it just brings so many memories. Okay, so I would say that they're still like good. They still taste the same to me when like I was a kid. All right, so the next food item, this is a breakfast item. The other one was lunch, like a lunch thing. I would often eat it for lunch, the burrito. This one, I mean, come on, like the classic Pillsbury toastal strudel. And my favorite was actually the strawberry. I loved the strawberry. Like that's literally the only thing that I ate. And obviously, you put them in the toaster. Now that I have my little toaster strudel warmed up, I'm gonna be tasting it. It's so crazy. Like I haven't eaten this in so long, but like it still tastes the same. Like it's obviously stuff that I just won't eat anymore, even if it's really, really good. But it's just something about like that just unhealthy food that just tastes good. So I'm just gonna have a couple more bites. Another one of my favorite shows was The Big Comfy Couch, and I'm looking down because I'm looking at my list, and that was a 1992 show. I didn't even realize, like when I did kind of like just the basic research, I didn't even realize that it was actually a Canadian show, but I remember watching that in the mornings all the time and I loved it. Okay, so another one of my favorites that I used to love eating, usually like as like my lunch, especially on weekends, were these super pretzel soft sticks. And they're filled with cheese, and I love like pretzels. I've always loved pretzels, like even the hard ones, the soft ones, just pretzels in general I've always liked. So I always had, and I'm sorry, like you can't see the table. I'm not like experienced in YouTube and making videos, so I am obviously a bit awkward, but so this is what they look like, and we'll go home. I mean, it's given super processed, but like a good processed. Yeah, I really like it. So another one of my favorite shows, and this was like back when I was a little bit younger. Actually it came out in 1995, so I was literally watching it right when it came out, and it was Little Bear. So like low-key, I was one of those kids that like, even though, you know how some kids are like, oh, I'm 8 or I'm 10, but like I'm such a big girl, and like I don't like to watch that. I don't like to play that. That was never me. Like I was always like, I want to still be a kid, and I still like watching like childish shows, even though I was kind of like on the older end, because I'm 34. I don't know, I have to do the math. I'm terrible at math, so I don't know how old was I at 95. I was born in 88, so I mean, I was still pretty young, I could still watch them, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like some of those shows were a little bit too childish for maybe me, but I still like to watch them. And then before I go into the next food item, I also liked Blue's Clues, which was 1996, and then I also liked watching Rugrats, 1991, and Franklin, 1997. So y'all have to let me know if you guys remember any of these shows, if you guys like watching these shows. These were all like really little kid stuff. I think Blue's Clues was the only one that came on Nickelodeon, and then the rest I think just came on like CBS or whatever it was. So yeah, I'm just gonna take another bite of this and move on to the next food item. Next item is these SpaghettiOs, Campbell's soup. And I used to love the Campbell's, this, or what is the other one? Like the chicken noodle soup, like that brand and that. So I made myself a little bowl. Now I will say, I remember when I was a kid, I completely forgot when I opened this, because I made a little bit, I didn't make the whole thing. I'm just mainly taste testing these things. I'm not actually eating. And I completely forgot, so I did the same thing when I was a kid. It was like really kind of thick, and I like it to be just a tiny bit more soupy. So I normally would add like a little bit of water in the mix before I, went to go cooking it. And this, I always cooked it on the stovetop. I tried cooking it like in the microwave. It just was not good. I liked the SpaghettiOs with the meatballs in them. So funny. It's so weird that like it just still tastes the same. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I haven't eaten this in such a long time, and it just still like hits. But I don't know, even though it's still like good and whatever, like I said, I don't know that I'd actually want to like eat this again. But it's just something that like it served its purpose in the era that I ate it. And then because these meatballs taste like weird and like super processed. I remember tasting that, but it was just kind of like whatever, like I still ate it. So I'm just gonna have a couple more spoonfuls. It just really brings back like childhood vibes. This is given like my mommy feeding me at like 5 years old. Arthur, 1996. I was a huge Arthur fan to the point that I remember having these like stuffed animals, and I had Arthur, what's his name, Buster, and then I had Muffy, I think that's her name, right? I had like actual like stuffed animals that I just, back when I was little, I used to have like my bed, and I would fill it, like it'd be like my bed like halfway filled of just stuffed animals. I used to love stuffed animals, and I had those, and they were just so nice and cuddly. So that was another show. And then I'd say like some of the ones that were a little bit, when I started to kind of like more like mature-ish, were, well, Gullah Gullah Island was another one. This is 1994. I remember watching that one, but I would only catch it from here and there, but when I did, I like really enjoyed it. And then before we move on to the next food item, I used to like watching a lot of like, I think it was it Disney or was it Nickelodeon? So like Hey Arnold, Doug, Rocko's Modern Life, Ren and Stimpy. Like, I used to like watching those. I wasn't always like watching them like religiously, but I would just watch them, whenever like I just kind of happened to watch things as they would show and I had the time to watch, because I also played a lot. Moving on to the last heated item that I often ate for like lunch. So there are these Tostino pizza rolls, which are super classic, obviously. I think these are pepperoni pizza rolls. Yes, so pepperoni were my favorite, so that's what I would always eat. So normally 90% of the time when I would eat these, I would just put them in the microwave. But I also was not a huge fan of it, so it was like, man, I wouldn't eat as many. But on occasion, I would put them in the oven. I just hated the way that I had to wait for them to, the oven to heat up and everything like that. So what I did today was I made a couple in the microwave, how I usually would eat them, but then I also put a couple in the air fryer just to test out like a difference. These are the ones that I put in the microwave. I mean, it definitely tastes like pizza. I don't know that you actually like see any bits of pepperoni, like maybe they're chopped, I don't know, I can't really tell, but they kind of like have a taste of it, just not really strong. And I mean, they're okay like in a microwave. I think you have to be precise with how long you leave them, because they can get like a little bit too overcooked and then they get kind of nasty. Now this is the one I had in the air fryer, so the color changes on them a little bit. Much better, because they give it that crunch on the outside. Again, super good. This is all like very, you know, obviously just not the greatest quality food, but that's the food that I literally survived on and that I literally ate all the time when I was a kid growing up. You know, like my diet consisted of just a lot of unhealthy foods when I think about it now, especially now that I'm like into fitness and everything like that. One of the snacks that I like would eat like, bro, like a lot was Oreo cookies. Literally, that was my ride or die. Like, it was my religion to eat Oreo cookies every single day practically. And I loved the chocolate ones. And I didn't include them in this video because there are some foods that I eat or have eaten on occasion. So Oreos is something that I still love, and especially nowadays where, you know, you have the limited, you know, series stuff that they come out with all the time. So I always love trying those out. It sucks that like I usually have to throw them away because I only eat like 1 to maybe 2 depending, and I don't like to really eat them often. So like it takes me forever just to eat like a sleeve. I try not to I only buy them if they're like a limited series just to try them out, but I don't typically buy Oreos, to be honest, just the plain Jane ones. And then I have on occasion have eaten like Pop-Tarts, which were a huge one. And then on occasion, if I'm really craving cereal, I do eat cereal. I usually like to incorporate cereal with protein powder like on the side for like a post-workout. It's really, really good. And it's like the best time to eat, I think, cereal. So anyways, before we get into the snacks behind me, and one other snack that is a cold one, I want to mention a couple of the other shows. These were when I was a little bit older and I used to like watching like Martin, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Wayans Bros, Saved by the Bell, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Steve Harvey. Okay, so now onto the stuff that's behind me. So I used to take lunches to school and my mom would like literally put all kinds of stuff in there because I was a hungry ass girl. Like, I was a hungry child. So she would make me sandwiches, and we usually would like make different types of sandwiches, like peanut butter. Like we would switch it up usually throughout the week. We would have like maybe a couple different options, and then she'd like switch them and rotate them, and then the next week it'd be like something different. So I would have like ham, I would have turkey, I would have chicken sandwiches, I would have tuna, I would have peanut butter and jelly. So I would always have some type of sandwich because obviously those are just the easiest. Those were like my main, you know, like my main course meal. And then when I was a kid, I used to love chips, and we always used to actually buy more so of the smaller bags, like, you know how they come in like the packages. We would buy a lot of the small bags, and of course like Flamin' Hots, like who does not? But you know what, nowadays I don't even eat chips at all. Like I haven't eaten chips in a long time. The only chips that I will have is like I've had the tortilla chips, just because sometimes, you know, like for salads or something like that, I like to put them in, or like guacamole or chips and dip, you know, something like that. But like I'm not really big into chips. I like to eat my calories in ways that just it's not gonna really like satisfy me, and most of the time it's just not something that I crave anymore. It's weird because I used to eat chips religiously and now I just don't. So Cheetos, I really got the hot Flamin' Hot Cheetos, I really got when I was into high school and middle school, and I would eat them with the cheese. Yeah, see, like brings back memories, but I'm just like, no, I just can't. These just taste like so like I know everything I've been eating is processed, but these just taste like processed, like, but in a bad way. Like I'm just putting all kinds of chemicals in my body. That's what it feels like. So moving on to the next one. These were also my favorites, and I used to love these, or the white cheddar. And usually these I would buy like the big bag, and I would just put like in Ziploc baggies. So let's see. I remember even as a kid, they taste stale. And I remember some days, even when I was a kid, they taste stale. So they're like really soft. They don't have that like little like popcorn crunch they normally do. The cheese on it is pretty good, even though it's super processed. I'm terrible. And then the Doritos. I love the Cool Ranch a lot, even probably more than like the regular. Okay. I think out of all of them, out of all of these here, definitely a favorite. Definitely the better ones. And I remember looking in the bag and trying to like find the ones that have like the really, really coated ones. Team Cool Ranch or Team Normal. Okay. Fruit roll-ups. So I used to love fruit roll-ups more than like the Gushers. I was not really a big fan of Gushers. And then I like the other fruit roll-ups, the ones that, what is it called? The ones that like they roll up. Brand? I don't know. And I would buy like the different kinds because you know they had like tie-dye looking ones. And they had like the tattoo ones that I sometimes would do on my tongue. And wow. I'm sorry, but they're not terrible and they bring back memories, but I'm just like, now what am I eating? Like, what is this? Whoop. Fucking corn syrup, sugar. Like, I'm sorry, I'm killing these. I'm making some of these snacks not fun, but I can't help. Like, look at the color dyes. Like, it's just a bunch of trash. Like, and it tastes like it. No gracias. The Ritz. My favorite were, I'm gonna open them from this way since this is already kind of open. So my favorite were the cheese. I think at some point when I was younger, this is the only option that they had. And then they ended up coming out with the peanut butter, but I wasn't a huge fan. These are like all falling apart. I've had Ritz crackers, just plain ones. I haven't had these in a long time, like literally a decade. But I've had the regular Ritz because whenever I get sick, like recently I had COVID, and then there was another time I went to Mexico a few years back, and I got to visit where my dad's from. My dad lives like, I don't know how you say it in English, but it's the Sierra. So you're climbing up, and you're literally going in a circle. Like you're just nonstop going in circles in a car. The road, they're not even legit roads. And then you're like in this elevation constantly, just going up and up and up. I don't do well with heights. I don't do well with rides, with roller coasters. Like I get sick super easily. And then to top it off, at one point, like once we were there, whatever, we came back a day prior to leaving, basically where we were visiting. We went to visit one of my aunts that lives in that area. She makes fresh, like, you know, because they live in like the super smallest towns. Like you literally have to make a lot of stuff on your own. And they make, you know, their own. They have their own cows and everything, so they're like making their own cheeses, you know, and everything like that. And so they make, you know, their own cheeses. When you're eating like that kind of a cheese, it's so different compared to here that you have to be careful because your body's just not used to those kinds of foods. And so I got really sick. I was like vomiting, throwing up, and it almost felt like I had food poisoning, and it wasn't, but I overdid it on some of the food that my body's just not used to, including the cheese because it's really good. The day after, we ended up having to like leave and we were gonna go somewhere else, and that was like the most like awful drive. I mean, the drive itself is not fun, and then to top it off, to have like to be sick. And so literally the only thing that I can stomach to eat was like Ritz crackers. Ritz crackers are just something that my stomach just really can stomach really easily whenever I'm sick, whenever I have like a surgery, stuff like that. Like that's the only. So I have had, you know, Ritz, but I haven't had, like I said, these. But these ones, I would say that these snowballs were faves. Me and my mom actually really enjoyed them, so we would buy them. Because I'm a coconut fan and I'm a chocolate fan, so that's what I really liked about them. And then I liked when they were pink, because sometimes it would be they come in like white, and then like in the holidays you would see them like green for St. Patrick's Day, you know. I mean, oh, and it had like marshmallow on the side, like in the inside. I don't know if you guys had these before, but as you can see, there's like marshmallow, and then there's a marshmallow layer, and then it's coated with this pink coconut. So I mean, they're good. They just taste very processed. Me not eating another bite. So I totally forgot I had another item. Burnt peanuts. So my mom is one that actually like really likes these, and she was the one that kind of got me into them. And I mean, I just picked whatever brand. So it wasn't a specific brand. But these burnt peanuts were always hitting. Or the Chico sticks. I used to like this too. So, as you can see, I mean, you know, they're still really good. There's one other show that I really liked also called Legends of the Hidden Temple. And that was 1993. Ooh, about to break a tooth. Break a tooth. They still hit. Not enough for me to eat them though. It's not giving that much hit. And off to dessert. So I used to be an ice cream fan. I've never been like a huge ice cream fan, but like I was an ice cream fan. My mom actually would take me often to Dairy Queen, and my go-to was the Banana Split Blizzard. Or we have a couple local areas here that we would go to a lot. And then we would buy a lot of like ice cream, because I also liked the Neapolitan ice cream. And then I would like to make my own ice cream cones. So this one was one, because I'm a huge fan of peanuts. And just having like the different, they kind of taste like the Choco Pecos, I think that's what they're called. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm sorry for the awkwardness, but like I said, I'm I'm super new to YouTube. This is not my thing. But I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I hope you guys kind of enjoyed. And make sure to listen to my podcast, Soulrocker Podcast.